Dr. Obiora Madu, the Director General, African Center for Supply Chain, Lagos, Nigeria, to please come take his seat. Wale Abu is the CEO, Liquid Intelligence Technologies. Please take your seat. I would also like to invite for this panel Mr. Olukayode Olusoyan, the founder and CEO of the Oak Group. Mr. Olukayode Olusoyan. Please, if you're in the house, take your seat on the panel. This panel will be moderated by Ms. Chikwendlu, who is the MD of Vertebra Tech Hub, Lagos, Nigeria. Ms. Chikwendlu, please take your seat because I'll be handing over to you from now. Please, may Mr. Seyi Owotoro come forward for the keynote address. For this session, I believe the first two sessions provide some context for this conversation. Nigeria is a natural destination for investments. I've been traveling abroad, all right? But for the first time in the last 2 years, I went abroad. In the last 3 years, I went abroad during the height of winter. And I found out that Nigeria is blessed. We have summer 12 months, all right? So agriculture, all right? We have a youthful population. We have a ready market. A potentially large industrial base. So the question is, why does it appear that investment is dwindling? Right, so we'll just try to provide some context here. In terms of some numbers, some statistics to help us to guide the conversation. Between 2017 and 2021, foreign direct investments and foreign portfolio investments. I'll just give the figures for 2021 and 2017. In 2017, foreign portfolio investment was $7.3 billion. In 2021, it was $3.3 billion. On the other hand, foreign direct investments were $981 million in 2017, and then in 2021 it was $698 million. And then for context also, we'll look at Nigeria, the ratio of Nigeria's market capitalization to GDP. The figure for 2020 was 13.09%. World average for the same year was 98.6%. This was the world average. They use data for 67 countries. South Africa, for which, our economy is larger than South Africa, the ratio for South Africa was 311%. So that shows you the potential in terms of how much potential the Nigerian economy has. You can imagine that if we move that ratio to 1:1, all right, 100%, you can imagine what will happen. So what are the constraints? Foreign exchange volatility, multiple exchange rates, instability in terms of economic policies, policy somersaults, we have poor And these uncertainties have a way of discouraging. I had a conversation, I think earlier in the week on Wednesday, someone who is a leader in the capital market. They had, typically at the beginning of the year, I would like to have, because I operate in that system, I'm an operator, I'm a registrar. All right, registrars provide what we call record keeping services for companies listed on the exchange. So typically, I would like to have conversations with players to know where the direction is and know where to focus my own attention for my business. And the gentleman said, look, that Nigeria doesn't have the capacity to take on investment. And I said, no, I don't agree. Nigeria, up until recently, where the crypto market went down, Nigeria was one of the largest markets for crypto. So the question is, where is it going coming from? All right, if you could attract that money to support the development of those that need capital, right, provide the enabling environment, I think we will see some interesting things happen. So the question is, why is money? And he said, oh, it's greed and speculation. I said, fine. Okay, if we're able to attract 10% or 20% of that money that's going to crypto into funding real things. Crypto is just, speculation, it's not real. All right, if we could do that. So what do we need to do to begin to encourage those who ordinarily would take the risk of the crypto and put that money into more sustainable investments? But we don't have so much time. So what are the factors responsible for low investment? Macroeconomic uncertainties, wholesale policy, unpredictability, socioeconomic instability, complex regulatory environment. All right. Albeit there have been some recent initiatives by the federal government to boost investment. One of them was the Nigerian Investment Promotion and Commission Act, which seeks to encourage and promote coordinate domestic and foreign investments in Nigeria, and then to identify specific projects and invite potential investors participants in them. The last, I'm not sure whether the title is DG or Insanico. She did quite well. I personally was receiving updates from them when she was the head of that agency. One of the other incentives is the pioneer status. Pioneer status basically is to encourage investments in new areas where the investor is then allowed a tax holiday for about 3 years in the first instance. There's also the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission Act, which seeks to eliminate anti-competitive and restrictive practices and to encourage healthy and fair competition. Then we have the Export Credit Certificate, which is supposed to encourage export of goods and services. And when an exporter receives that certificate, they are allowed to use it to pay down their tax. So it's like 5% of whatever export value they bring in, they're allowed to use that as tax credit to settle their tax. So what are the areas that we can focus on in terms of attracting investments? One fundamental area is how regulation is very key. I know the Nigerian Exchange has done quite a bit working with the Nigerian regulator, the securities regulator, to ease that process. So imagine the guy who wants to invest in crypto. He sits at home, all right, gets on his computer, and he does his investment, and he stands up and goes to do something else. Everything, transaction is done, cycle complete. Look at on the other side, I want to invest in Nigerian business. I first have to, I go to a broker, the broker would ask me for my mother's birth certificate, my father's birth certificate, the age of the king of my village. Alright, so we go through that process. By which time the guy who invested in crypto has even forgotten to do the investment. When it's time to realize that investment also, there could be certain bottlenecks. So the question is, what can we do through regulation and through infrastructure to speed up time to market when people seek to, because we need patient capital for long-term investment. We need patient capital, not speculative capital, not gambling capital. We need patient capital. But patient capital is dependent upon some level of trust. And we have conversation about trust. I need to be able to see that in 5 years, 10 years time, the government or the authorities will come and change the rule of the game while the game is still on. So fundamental. Now, talk about ease of entry and ease of exit. I remember, and I will use my case where I work as an example. I joined my company in August, so I wanted to open a brokerage account, which I opened successfully, of course, after going through the process. I said, look, I need to open an asset management account. And they said, oh, you need to bring all of the same documents after that. But I'm an employee, I just opened a brokerage account. Oh, the regulator is a requirement, right? And guess what? I didn't complete the process. Not because I didn't want to, but because it was just like, no support. That's regulation, all right? Now in Europe, you can open, in some countries in Europe, you can open a stock trading account with your national ID card. Once you deliver right card to the company, they pull out your details and then they open an account for you and you can start trading. Now, what that could do for us is that it removes all of the bottleneck in terms of how people can access the market. Fundamental to that also is the trust in how government policies are formulated. But in terms of areas we can focus on, specifics now, I had my research and colleagues in research where I was discussing this conversation. He said, look, if we leverage after the Africa Continental Free Zone agreement, we focus on it as a country, that it will help us become more competitive. And I said, how? After itself, if we don't get it right, it will be counterproductive. And that is dependent on how all the other parties are able to make that agreement work. So we had a conversation, and eventually I came to agree with him that it could be an opportunity. That if we looked at after in a different light, right, it will begin to provide the incentive for us to be more competitive, right? And as we become more competitive, we'll be able to attract more capital. The other thing we may need to focus on, especially as it relates to foreign investment, attracting foreign investment, is double taxation agreement. Nigeria currently has double taxation agreement with some specific countries, but not with others. Now, if I bring in money into the country and I am going to pay tax in 2 places, it will be a discouragement for me to bring money in. So I think that considering to to look at deepening arrangements for having double taxation agreements with more countries could be an area that will help us stimulate interest in our country in terms of investments. Macroeconomic stability. Macroeconomic stability. Both fiscal and monetary authorities need to collaborate more. This conversation I said I had on Wednesday, we were talking and I said, on Wednesday, CBN increased, CBN increased NPR by 100 basis points. I think it's now 17.5. And the same CBN issued treasury bills. I think that's on very ridiculous 3%, 4%. I'm not sure. Let me not. Victoria. Alright, so the question is, NPR is 17.5%. The central bank is issuing treasury bills of 3-4%. So what's the rationale? And what's the rationale? How does that stimulate confidence? The first thing that comes to the mind of an investor is what game is the CBN playing? Those rates are not reflective of the cost of money, and they are totally disconnected with the level of inflation. So what exactly is the game here? So we need some level of. This thing's got to make sense, really. The other thing is the promotion of, so I just put them in 4 buckets. Promotion of development finance. We need more to promote more development finance organizations, especially to target small and medium enterprises. This can be centers for pooling funds and then to giving micro and small and medium enterprises. Two other fundamental areas we may need to look at are land reforms. Alright? So many, even the federal and state governments have real estate that are more or less wasted. Imagine that if I have a house today, I was telling someone I was having a conversation with earlier that where I live, we got notification from land registry or environmental plan that somebody is disputing ownership of the land. I've lived there for 7 years, and the place was developed by a developer. I lived there for 7 years, and we have a gazette because I did a search when I was acquiring property. I got my lawyer to do a search. In fact, there was another property I was interested in, which my lawyer advised not to go in because the title was defective. So I got this one that had perfect title. 7 years after, I have someone disputing ownership and threatening to eject us from our estate. Those things don't entertain that, which is why sometimes if I want to convert my real estate to use to do an investment, it's a problem. So you can unlock serious value if you have land reforms. So if I take a title, why is the land registry not digitized? The technology exists. It's so simple to do. The question is, why hasn't it happened? If that happened, I can then take my land title and go to a bank. Say, look, my MTN is coming to the market for an offer. I want to buy 1% of MTN. I'm not sure anyone can use real estate to buy 1%. I'm just making that up. But you can imagine what will then begin to happen. Right? So there are assets that are lying, we're not milking the value of those assets because the process for doing it is just ridiculous. The other area, the final area I will speak on is judicial reforms. And we have a matter, my former company, a senior advocate took us to court on a matter in 2009. As of last year, November, because I still received the notification, was one of the email addresses I provided to the lawyer to them in the case, my personal email, for some reason. So, the matter is still in court. 2009, where as of 2023, the matter was still in court. So the question is, if I was an investor and I'm in a dispute, time value of money. So I think those are areas we need to look at. Time is short. I hope that we can have a conversation around this. Thank you.
Speech you gave to us really touched on so many points. We were talking about the working capital. Yeah, so I'll take up conversations from there. Please, can we give a round of applause? Okay, so I'll pick from some of the points that I have spoken to. If I would start my questions from Samuka. So you are real estate practitioner in Nigeria, and he spoke strongly about the areas that we need to look into when we're talking about improving opportunities to unlock capital for investment. So let's hear your experience about FDI into the real estate sector, and most importantly, he spoke about land reforms. What do you think the government can do to improve, capital into that space?
I would just quickly like to, first and foremost, we have real estate, all the subsidiary, we have asset management, that's what we call this portfolio. Now, first and foremost, I have a bias. I believe in investment in global, right? Whatever investment, whatever sector, venture capital, even though most of our activities are not that. I believe going local is the best way to actually develop Nigeria, because Nigeria itself is a very different aspect, right? In previous sections, we were talking about crisis. I sat down and I was smiling to myself, and I said to myself that when you're an entrepreneur in Lagos, Nigeria, you wake up in a crisis mode every day. Because first and foremost, you prepare your mind that what is likely to go wrong today. Until you can answer that question, you can start your day. And the first thing is you are expecting some agencies to come and probably lock your site, and you probably have done all the right things. But somebody just driving somewhere and like, this site is not looking, you just go to go and lock it. And somebody is locking it, you have another human capital. Like, what kind of number of things? You have a staff that's I don't know. You have somebody that just woken up that I need money today. How can I get money off this man? This man is looking bright. There's some money that this man is spending that my share. There's always some people say workshop. You jump from where you work. So the guy has also made up his mind that money that I'm going out, that I'm going to go and scam this man. I must make money. So in your head too, you're also thinking, how do I catch a thief today? Yes. Right? And you're also going, you're wondering that, okay, so how do I make money? How do you, if you have bank loans, how do I pay back bank loans? So you wake up in a crisis mode every day, right? So as you're waking up, the question you ask is, how do I solve these problems? Now, you asked about FDIs. There was a time when I had banking experience. I did banking for about 15 years. And I was feeling like a sharp person. I said, you know what, I was doing real estate. Real estate and it's called Opo. So I said, you know what, to raise money, let's just talk to this. We have fundamentals, we have assets, we can fund. So I went to talk to one of these guys to school in the UK. So I said that, without asking, that's the good thing about the UK, without asking, they post money, how much you can lend. You post it to your account that Mr. Luka, you can lend £100,000, for example. You don't ask. So I saw the opportunity. I said, if I can lend that money, what am I chasing after? And I took the money. At that time, I took about £300,000. So I just brought it to Nigeria. I said, yes, we are in business. And guess what? Policy disaster happened. I will take it from that angle. And guess what? I almost went crazy. So I went crazy, but I did not die. No, because I was now racing against, okay, so converting this money to pay down, how do I convert this money? How do I stay in business? And at that time, we came up with different things, financial engineering, off plan, all those things. They have collected money from Mr. X. You now go back and say, Mr. X, sorry, that price cannot work again. So it becomes an integrity issue, so you have to just die in silence, right? So we had all those things. So that's why I found some of those things in my head that, whatever it is that you're doing pre-local, it's always the best way. Because at the end of the day, some of these foreign, because, okay, that might just lead you to something else. That's what I'm just trying to continue. Because if you're trying to get FDI, there are quite a number of questions. Then you have to begin to look at the macro level. Okay, Nigeria is not safe, who will bring money here? There are quite a number of economies that they can look into, especially come to Nigeria. So there are quite a number of things you have to contend with at that level. So if you have to be in business and get things done, and I always tell people that would not make me just micro answer. The first form of finance, generally, I tell people, family and friends. You talk about patient capital too. That's the most patient capital you can look at. You can meet your daddy. Because that's the capital you can play gambles with. You can play gamble in Nigerian banks. And even from FDI, it's not the kind of money you just want to take and say. So if you are looking for funding for your business, for your ideas, family and friends, and that now leads me to another conversation of venture capital and the likes of angel investors and all that.
Yes, thank you so much. You did. In fact, you talked on so many more areas than I even asked you about. Okay, so you spoke about, lastly, just spoke about venture capitalists and angel investors. Do you think that the Nigerian real estate is right enough to start attracting this kind of capital into that space? Bearing in mind all of this stuff, the ones you have just mentioned and the ones that we all know still are.
Okay, so madam, let me just see. You said there's no time, and you asked me questions that make us take time. And I'll just quickly, when you were speaking, I took note of something. You mentioned patient capital. And that will lead me to some conversations. And if I can engage the audience, please, can you mention 3 industries that are the most investable in Nigeria now? Sorry. Three sectors. Tech, God bless you. 1. Agriculture. Well, that's the question mark. 2. Any other person? God bless you. 3. I'll give you 1 more. Logistics. I won't touch retail people, but yes. Okay, and this is what I'm trying to bring out. You also mentioned a point, very valid point. And he said, so a question all of us should go home with. I found out that most of the regulated sectors are not very productive in Nigeria. It's the ones, how come I'm not record? It's the ones that the regulators do not really understand that are being investable and making the most returns. Music, number 1. If you go anywhere in New York, even in China, I went to China at the time, and the Chinese club, I wanted to faint. They were playing Nigerian music. And I was like, okay, am I still in China? I'm back to Lagos. No jokes. I was in New York, and I'm telling you, they were just blasting Burna Boy, and I was like, on the streets. No jokes. And I was like, okay, what's going on? Music sector. Put money there, you make money. Real estate. Once there are pockets of regulators here and there and all that, you still find that real estate is very investable. Yeah. It gives you returns. Right? You mentioned tech. Nigeria is number 2 globally when it comes to crypto. But we don't understand it, our regulators don't understand it. So rather than just follow, like, how can we make this work? How can we just say, no, if you have crypto, bam, just go and close the account. And those are the sectors that people world over were trying to understand. How can we follow this? How can we manage this? So it's just a question. I would like to create give an answer to that, so that tomorrow I will be. So we need to be able to answer that question. Those sectors are doing very well, but the ones that we are regulating, he said something too. He said, if you want to open an account, stock trading account, they will ask you that, what's the name of a mechanic? You exaggerate. Okay, for the purpose of playing safe, you exaggerate. So most of the ones that are regulated that we know about are the ones that, instead you just abandon the process because go and bring newspaper, go and bring your mother maiden name, and it just becomes tiring. right? So that is a question. I think most of us know the answers, and I'll give you to answer. So now to answer your question about real estate investable, to be honest, if it's some kind of money that you can hedge against, that I thought real estate is real. That's the interesting thing about it. I'm one of those that I don't even know how to do big man. If you tell me that my pipe is leaking on the 15th floor, you'll be shocked. In my car now, I have a boots. So when I finish, I'll just move everything I've done and I'll go and climb. Because why? Real estate, I can feel it. It's not spiritual. So when you tell me whatever it is, Oga, this pipe is busted. No, this block is broken. And let us see it. I will look at it. So when other kinds of investments go away, real estate is real. You look at it. I thought people also joking. Real estate does not eat, it does not drink water, it does not. If you leave the house there, you meet it there. Yeah. So real estate at any point in time, in fact, no matter the portfolio you have, if you don't have real estate in that portfolio, you are not starting.
Thank you so much, Mr. Owotoro. You really hit home. So I'll come here and offer rights from my next Mr. Wole Abu. Yeah, you can see of European intelligence technologies, and some of the conversations that started around tech, being an investigative sector. Now, in spite of the figures that Mr. Seyi shared of the declining FDI, in the tech space, there's been a lot of capital coming in the past few years. So the tech space, what is your views on it? Do you see more opportunities for growth? Do you see more opportunities to attract more FDI into this space? And what have you done both on the private sector side and on the public sector side to grow this sector?
Wow, that's a mouthful, that's a book, but thank you very much. Let me answer your question first, then I'll make some comments on what the keynote speaker said, or the other way around. Okay, so first, the gap in technology investment in the country, what we need to fulfill the gap is articulated in the National Broadband Plan in health sector. That gap is $168 billion. So we have not started. Money is going to have to come in. This year, there's one of the elements. There's $2 billion in Africa, and 1/3 of that is coming to that is ongoing. But in Lagos, there are still areas where you don't have to. And Lagos is where all the sea cables come. I'm sure you've heard about Google bringing the piano. You hear about To Africa coming from Facebook. Starlink at launch in Nigeria. We carry them. So there's multiple investments coming. But you know why they're all hanging in space or dropping at the shop? Nobody wants to deal with the regulation. Because when you go from country to country, then we now start to talk to each country's regulation, where we see on satellite space. So, because of the policy flip-flops, technology can solve many problems. I like what someone said about festival areas. I will also tell you, if you have any business and you have technology inside it, you don't have a business. So, technology is as real as real estate. It's very real. Forget that maybe they speak grammar about it. We use what technology, it's not just computing, it's electricity, everything. So, there's room. There's about, I think I checked, there's almost $15 trillion worth of debt sitting what they call negative yield. It means that I give you money. When I'm about to collect it back, you pay me less. 15 trillion. So there's money out there. You said NPR has gone. That means somebody put it here and you just make money. Why are they not coming here? Simple analogy. If the head of one criminal organization says, hey, borrow me 1 million naira and I'll give you 1 million naira back at the end of 1 month. And maybe some other person that you have no trust to says, give me 1 million naira, I'll give you 20% at the end of the year. One is obviously on paper more tempting, but you now look at the character. If you show up and the guy says, I no go pay, what do you do? He falls and even beats you or whatever. What do you do? You see, things are not very difficult. Things are very simple at the human level. You will not give money to a dog because of fear, because of lack of trust. The same reason why $15 trillion will not come here, because they don't trust us. Everything is all about the environment of business. Of course, if you are ESG professional, you cannot start breaking it down into its components. But environment of business boils down in natural level as, can I trust this person? Can I go into partnership with this person? This is my life savings. Where am I going to put it? Here or there? You are one investment destination. You are not the only one with a huge market for telecom. You are not the only one that has oil. You are not the only person. So there are investment choices, and we need to make ourselves attractive. I think so. Maybe I can now go into the other question, which is about. We'll start with communication. There was something, and that's where we started from leadership. So we have to have that vision that we want to even lead, not what is happening today, which is by sheer force of numbers and location. We always get the largest pie, and we say we are attracting better than Malawi. But that's not the issue. The issue is how much of our GDP multiples should we be? Should we even be a 500 billion GDP country? You know, compared if you look at our resources. What's our strategy? Why is everything around raw material? Ask yourself, ask the question. If you see lithium in your village, there's lithium in this country, can any of you identify? Do you know what lithium is? Can you take a walk outside this building, step outside and look at the trees? Can you name them? Do you know their names, their botanical names? Do you even know their names in your language? Do you know the properties? They come here every day, take the same leaf that is growing in your backyard. You see we have poor people. They take the earth from under their feet and they make it into billions. And what does the regulator do? He just signs it that there's a process. You see, you have a process that has no vision, that has no intelligence behind it. It can be efficient, but you are not serving your agenda. We need to say, what is our agenda as a country? Who brings me to this issue of capital? We want to attract capital. To where? Capital is coming here today. Maybe sea cables are coming here. Somebody saw the technology opportunity and came here. But is that our biggest problem today? Probably not. You've got 130 million hungry people. So my priority will probably be to feed them. Good, technology is fine, there are returns, but that is the agenda of Elon Musk. He wants to go to space. I want to feed my people. I should align my strategy, my capital, to solve my problem. If we are hungry, we will fight. When we fight, we will lose trust. And etc. etc. Bottom line, I like what Sam said. It's a favorite topic of mine, even in my close quarters. If you are hungry, biologically, you don't do anything until you eat. We are able to talk about all these other things because there's water on the table, you've had coffee, so we can talk about exchange rate. 130 million people today, as we speak now, they haven't eaten. In Nigeria, do you know what the 130 million people mean? Factor it into any algorithm. There's one outcome: trouble. So, assets, basic balance sheet. Asset is your liability. It's that thing that you're trying to fund. Nothing comes from nothing. Energy is always the law of conservation of energy. It's the same thing with assets. You can't destroy energy. You can only convert it from one form to the other. The capital you're taking it from one place, either as equity, as grant, industry, or as a debt. There are institutions, people like my guys here who understand money, who can go and fetch that dough for you. Whether you go to capital markets or you go to equities, people have this expertise. How many are they? First and foremost, how is Spain? You know, we don't have any resilience in it. How many people can raise money from the capital market in Nigeria for serious needs? How many people can even access it, the small entrepreneurs? So he made a very good point about maybe SMEs, maybe. Those ones have no access to capital. Number one problem in the country is that you don't have access to capital in unlocking even local capital. Forget the banks, forget what they have now. They have these Chinese people giving loans to people that are chasing them around the world. When you have 130 million people, what are they looking for? Money. So how do you unlock it both locally and globally? Land reforms you mentioned, excellent. I was talking with the bride here. I mean, someone I've known for a long time. And he was telling what they did in Jigawa State. They have a very simple land registration system so that the farmers can get CFO. Once you have it digitalized, that becomes capital. The reason why your 600 square meters of land in Lagos is worth 10 million naira is because it's got governor's consent. It's something you can trade. If you have 20 hectares in Lagos State, it's worth nothing. How can it be worth nothing? There's lithium, there's oak, mahogany, there's all kinds of things. But we are trapped in a colonial mindset where we refuse to see value either in the land or in ourselves. So we only drive agendas of this, what I call the people who provide the money now. Some of these DFIs, they are not working for our agenda. Some of these equity companies, they don't care. They won't invest in food. They won't invest in food. They'll say they will invest in a mine. So you come to a village, if it is to break the stones and pack it out of that place and make you miners, they will invest in it. But if you're going to invest long term in an orchard, in wine, why can't we have wine in Jos? What are the conditions for vines for growing anything? Is there anything we can't grow in Nigeria? Come to think of it. They won't invest in that. But they will invest in that in France because France will not let you break their ground and carry it away. So we need to have purposeful leadership. Some of us grew up under the tutelage of Kwame Nkrumah, Roman tutelage, the Pan-Africanism, the thinking, the philosophy around what Africa could be. That is died. Today we are doing ethnic balancing. Ultimately, whether the boat is looking from the north, the south, or the east, we are going to see. So I've talked about technology. Engaging, for example, is very simple blockchain system. What we need to create that trust, because I'm trying to link to two earlier discussions. If trust is broken, bring transparency into it. Blockchain as a technology, crypto is not a technology. It's something, is an offshoot of the technology blockchain, which brings transparency into any system. Put all this land on blockchain. GPS system, this land cannot move. To your point, just as the house cannot move, the land cannot even move. And latitude and longitude in geography has been there for 5 centuries. It is not rocket, it is not even science anymore that you know that the coordinate of this place is X and this is Y. Everybody, for primary school, they've been teaching it for hundreds of years, but guess what? We've not used it to develop our country. You go to the market, you see, they tell you to measure something in movement. What is movement? Once it is a solid, it's in kilograms. If it is liters, so the language, the shape of our thinking must start to think. The only standardized products you have in Nigeria are those ones made by Western factories. So it is from that small level you unlock capital, give them land access, give them access to technology. That's the job of government. If they are structured at that level, if you have 200,000 farmers with C of O, a business will be created for First Bank. First Bank will bring a notice, a subsidiary. They will wake up and start giving them money because they have something, to trade with. If you show people that, look, lithium is a rock in your background, not in your backyard, don't just throw it away. Education You know, you can package that instead of just packaging mining rights. You know, have proper equity in those companies so that you can derive more value. Then, of course, everybody, I won't overflow the issue of regulation policies myself. I'll bring it back to maybe the telecom industry now. You're all aware of how governments across Africa, Nigeria is like an exception, where they get cash fund. Then they look at the industries that are maybe thriving or surviving, and they say, okay, here, let's go and let the cash, slam them with back taxes, 700 million in Ghana, for example. How can you say MTN that has been there for years? We did it also in Nigeria. It's called the tall poppy syndrome. Oh, number one on the stock exchange, making money, slamming with so those kind of policies. So that trust, and I think finally, there are other investments. We should direct investment into two areas. Food, so that we can de-escalate this issue of hunger, and energy. You cannot do anything without power. Even the telecom companies, we invest 50% of our companies in power. So it makes sometimes the business case very difficult when you want to compete. I'm producing 1 megabyte and I'm spending 1 naira. And 50 cover of that is power. If I'm in South Africa, the same thing, 1 naira, right? I pocket the rest, I don't spend anything. So you may be saying today that this area is good in Nigeria, but because of these forex flip-flops, the fact that they are also hidden charges. When you say tax, forget the one they come and tell you. The hidden tax, the tax of extra power, diesel, area boys, insecurity, makes us uncompetitive, and hence you can, when you're talking about attracting investment, ask yourself what are the questions that these DFIs ask. Once we tick that off, the money will come. They have potential here. They are looking for where to put it. Thank you.
So let's talk about Africa now. The African continental free trade area is a massive, the biggest single market in the world. That's of about 1.3 billion people. And over 3 trillion in GDP. It sounds so good. It looks so good on paper. Are there opportunities? Very much. Very, very much. Let me start from logistics and supply chain management, which is my Prof. If you look at the World Bank Logistics Performance Index, where all countries in the world are graded, Nigeria is 410 out of 160. And the last 10 in the world ranking, most of them are African countries. So the biggest threat that Africa has is actually logistics, and I think that is also where the biggest investment is available. We have no coastal lines, we have no intercontinental highways. In 2016, Kenya Export Promotion Council came to Nigeria. Found out they could supply us coffee, supply us tea. So I worked with a Kenyan consultant to do the feasibility study for that very particular trip. And it was found to be very, very profitable. From 2016 till now, no single shipment has been made. You know why? The product will have to get to Europe first before it comes to Nigeria. Yes. So logistics is one big headache in Nigeria. If you look at Africa, actually the most interconnected sub-region is East Africa. Rwanda is landlocked. But they do their importation with ease. There was a time it was impossible to go to Chicken Island, and then I started wondering, this place where government gets so much from, how could they leave it to? When it was happening in Tika, it was also the same thing at the Port Harcourt oil and gas free zone. So the logistics infrastructure in this country is making us uncompetitive. In fact, not just in this country, in the continent. Go now and talk to those who are exporting. You will find out that there are commodities that are being exported from Nigeria. The local price is higher than the international market price. That's occasioned by logistics. If you load a trailer in Kano or somewhere, you are coming to Lagos. You hire Navy, hire Air Force, hire police, hire army, just that it will reach Lagos safely. A container that you can safely drop on the rail and it will come down to Lagos. So when after started, I was not excited because I can see the trouble, the dangers involved. They are not impossible. They can be overcome. How many years is ECOWAS? Free movement of people and goods. Have you experienced it? I went with a friend. We were going to Cotonou. I was holding my passport. He was not holding his phone. So I said, "Are you sure you are going to be able to pass?" He said, "To pass." He said, "Wait until we get there." When we got there, I had passport. Himself that didn't have his passport had crossed and waited for me for over 30 minutes. And on that trip, going and coming, I lost my passport. So the thing is, for example, as we were signing for AFTA, we closed borders. How? How do you do that? So in fact, we have done so much that will make people want to invest. Let's go to the export. When Obasanjo was around, the rule in foreign exchange is that exporters will have unfettered access to their foreign exchange. When Emefiele came, he turned it around. First of all, you must sell to your bank. Then you must sell at this rate. Then they open the one they call the secondary this thing. How? An exporter will export, and then he wants to on CIF, so he needs foreign exchange to be able to pay the freight, and you refuse to give him money from the inflow that he has. So what I'm trying to say is that as much as, and then the other thing is, somebody talked about commodities, raw commodities. That's another place where we are killing ourselves. We ship our cashew nuts for peanuts to India, and then they will bring roasted cashew nuts for us to buy. Everybody knows the history that Malaysia collected the first palm fruit from Nigeria in 1962. Everybody can recite it. Go to Malaysia and see what they have made of palm oil. Products of paper. So the thing is that I think this leadership summit is very, very important. If the right people attend. I mean, I'm not saying that anything is wrong with the people who are here, but we need to talk to people who because it's a sin to be poor in Nigeria. It's a sin. So after provides opportunity, but again, you can't ship cocoa to Ghana, neither can they ship raw cocoa to us. You have to add value. And then once Samuel was talking, he talked about the followership and the rest of them. I was in the banking industry in 1990 when we were having what they call ADB Export Stimulation Loan. Massive money, but come and see fraud. 41 factories were approved. As I speak to you, no single one is working. If anybody knows the KEYNOTE this thing that belong to that group, when you are before you come down on the bridge from Shagamu, if you are coming to Lagos, it's by the right. We stopped one man whose transaction was very, very obvious that it was a fraud. We had to run for our dear lives. So what I want to say is that, he said, policy somersault, all those ones are history. They are old stories. But for how long are we going to live in these things? If you come to tourism, much better. Look at outsourcing, which is part of logistics. India created the environment and the army of people who were knowledgeable about the technology. So if you were a software company, it's either you were going to India or you are planning to close down. That made India the biggest outsourcing center. I went to the outsourcing village. 3.5 million young people work in this place on 3 shifts. Lights never go off. How can Nike come and set up their factory in Nigeria? How? I listened to an American on social media, and he said, we cannot tax ourselves out of poverty. Because with your tax alone, no serious investor want to come. In this state, this was last year, 2022. It's a company, it's a fertilizer company. The headquarters is in Morocco. They are in Nigeria. OCP fertilizer. They built a factory in the north, built one in Ogun State, went to one state in the east to build a factory. And the people they talked to started, how do you cover us? How do you take care of their interests? They left. They went to Sokoto State. And the governor said, take how much land you want and don't pay anything. They said, no, we must pay. We want to pay so that we can get receipt. They insisted on making payment. You know what that means? There are hungry people in that state because fertilizer that was factory that they wanted to set up that were giving people job and probably improve agriculture in that particular place. Honestly, I don't know where we're going, but is there hope? Yeah. Yes. There is hope. There is hope. Like Owotoro said, if we can individually create a good Nigeria in our private companies and the rest. When I run international certifications, the first certification I sought was from America. And that was in the heydays of 419. Of course, you can imagine what that investor, he forwarded a letter to me written by somebody who was duped in Nigeria. The man told all the story, ended up by saying, invest in Nigeria, don't dare. So I tried to convince them, they refused. I tried to convince them. In fact, it's been 18 years now. Eventually, I started looking for how they just give, let's do it this way, let's do it this way, let's do it this way. And they took the risk. And we did it. 17 years running, that relationship is on. In fact, about 2010, I don't even know who they are. I had to fly to Arizona to go and see them face to face. So that is it. If everybody can create somebody who say, I have seen one good Nigerian, or I have seen one good Nigerian company, then we can attract investment, not the way we are. Thank you very much.
I'll take it back to you, Mr. Sheikh. So a lot has been said. We started with some original or the entire perspective around unworking capital, quite a little bit of details. And each of the panelists has done good justice to this topic. There are different areas of specialty. I'm also speaking general. Now, leadership summit like this, it's really to give insights to the government or provide solutions to the government on how things that they can do better to support unlocking capital for development within Nigeria. So please, to summarize, can you please speak to this guy?
Deal with insecurity. Those are the influence of the multiple exchange rates. It's an anomaly. And if I know that I can take money from the central bank at 450 naira to $1, I can send it at 800 naira to $1. You've already given me an incentive to make payment. Yes. Deal with removal resources, petrol sources. No investor wants to come into that. Even you're talking about local capital. Our stock market seems to have performed better than the rest of the world, basically because the ratio of foreign capital to local capital is 82%. Foreign investors are under 20%. In 2014, it was 60 to 40, 60 foreign, 40 local. All right, but that's why the stock market sinks, because there's no flight. I mean, where am I going? If I'm in Nigeria and there's insecurity, I will pull out the money, maybe I'll put it in crypto. If I'm not a crypto person, I will leave it. So, which is why we seem to be doing well in that area. But so even the locals, all right, the state of Japa we are seeing, all right, is a result of insecurity. And many of them are not economic migrants. They are basically saying, look, I don't know where this country is going. I need to find my way. I know people who have sold their houses to relocate. You understand? So deal with insecurity, remove the subsidy of petrol. I mean, for that sector, we will not see investment until certain things happen. There needs to be some transparency in that sector. It's so opaque that, you see the Shells, the Chevrons, I'm not sure of Shell, but Shell has been selling some assets. And you ask yourself, why are they selling assets? Because for you to make money in that sector, you need to invest. And if all of this, there's oil theft, all right, so we're supposed to be producing 2.3 million barrels. We are hardly producing 1.6 million barrels. There's theft. So if you remove all of these elephants in the room, all right, I was telling someone, this is my conversation, that there will be peace transfer of power. Whether we like it or not, we won't fight. I don't see us fight. We will make noise, we will threaten. At the end of the day, we will vote, somebody will win, and life will continue. So if, when that happens, not if, all right, and the incoming person just deals with this issue, you will be surprised at the effect, all right? Capital is looking for where to go. You understand? And Nigeria, you forget that, where is always says you are not. Nigeria is a natural destination. For whatever reason, I'm not an economist, all right? So we can debate that, but Nigeria is a natural destination. If you deal with those elephants, you will you will see, it will be like a miracle. Thank you.
So somebody told me that there was a time India had serious issues with feeding its population, India. And what happened? The Indians in the diaspora all over the world had meetings with those in leadership at that particular time. And then asked them, what do you want us to do for you? We can help you. And they said, give us anything, we will manage it so that we'll be able to feed our people. The person who told me this story said, Indians in diaspora all over the world contributed $5 billion and sent to the government to use it to take care of the people back in India. I said they did that because they have trust. Trust. When you trust your leaders, you can do a lot of things for your country.
Exactly.
And that takes me to a quote I saw somewhere. It is called Edelman Trust Barometer. I saw it on the internet. It says, I quote, "We have studied trust for more than 20 years and believe that it is the ultimate currency in the relationship that all institutions, namely business, government, NGOs, and media, build with their stakeholders." End of quote. Once there is trust, a lot of things can be done. Thank you very much.
My name is Ndubuisi. I'm the CEO of Prof. I just want to make an observation in the FDI space in Nigeria. What I can observe is that there is no sincerity of purpose, and probably we are taking ourselves lies. Even if we are copying a technology or knowledge form to our own environment, it is totally at divergence. I'll give you a case study example. A certain FDI provision of above $5 million or $10 million says coming from England or Central Europe at 40%. Before you that got the FDI can use it in Nigeria, they say you must have 6% for each differential fees to 12% interest rates. And the CBN and the Ministry of Finance says that you must pass through a commercial bank will put their own. The landing cost of FDI of 4% or 2% will be on the landing use not less than 22%, not to add to any other elements. So what I'm saying, what are we doing is like we are just playing, or we are just joking, we are just talking about FDI, and there's a problem. This is the problem. If you bring an FDI and you are not, it becomes a failed FDI, so to say, there will not be a recall of those funds, especially in medium to long term area like real estate that can actually, or infrastructure can actually change that things. So I think we really need to sit down and tell ourselves the truth, not to explore areas we know that will fail, than talking it from today and talking it tomorrow, and at the end of the day, the same thing comes back. So I think this three issues, I think we need to address it if you can.
Now, let's look at this again, they are all for it. And I don't know whether they see better than us inside, but even commercial banks are also in that they will come in with these funds, select good business opportunities from the youth, put in their money, wait at the exit gate, take their money and their interest, and the rest is history. Why are we having that? Because I'm seeing it as a threat rather than sorry to say, that's just my personal view, except somebody can readdress my mindset. Why is this venture capitalist taking more than even the financial institutions that were set up to boost the economy of this country? Thank you.
Firms doing more than commercial banks, or why are the local VC firms doing more than? I'm not quite sure what. Sorry?
You say why the international VC firms investing in this local business, agro businesses, more than the local investors. So why is international doing more than the local?
Okay, first and foremost, before now, the problem we have generally with Nigeria's financial space is because all the sources of capital we have is very short-term in nature, right? So that's made a lot of banks, for example, I'll pick from the banking angle, that's made them trading banks than investment or development banks. Meaning, I get funds from my customers and probably I'm getting the funds at 180 days. 360, I'm not sure a lot of investors do 360 or 365 days, but most of the deposits they get is very short term in nature. So most of because you have to match the funding you get, right? So that means you also have to create loans or create assets along that line. So it has to be matched with whatever funding you're getting. So you see that most banks will probably, those days, rather than fund all and gas, vessel is coming, they sell the oil and gas. But once you just hear something about I'm starting a business, I need money to key into the number of years, the banks will just move away. Now that's number one. Then number two, you also find out that a lot of SMEs, a lot of these banks, they have SME desks and all that, but they don't touch SMEs, and that's the truth. And that's because SMEs are not structured, they don't have the right paperwork, they don't have some of those things that banks would normally want to look at. That's where the venture capital firms now come in. So the venture capital firms who are rightly designed to take care of this. Number one, there's so much deep process they have, right? Because for you to be a venture capital firm, first and foremost, there's probably a fund. You have a set of people they call limited partners that invest into your fund, and from the fund you can now make investments, right? So you see that not a lot of Nigerian investors, limited partners are sophisticated enough. Before now, they're not sophisticated enough to have an idea that, okay, you know what, people did it in pockets, you know, that I believe in this, and the reason why people believe in you then is that it's my own. So they will just do it that, okay, you know what, instead of just sitting down at home, not having anything to do, hey, this 5,000 naira, I can't start. At least you come and disturb me again. That was the kind of angel investments we were getting there. But things have changed, right? People are earning a further way, people are doing it. So why the number of people are getting sophisticated enough to say, you know what, let's keep our funds for something like this. You know, people now hear an old man will tell you that 10x, you do 10x. So there's a lot of lights or whatever it is in that direction. And in fact, I would invite some of you to, we are raising our fund sometimes to invest. So O Capital permits me to throw a pitch in one of our firms. So what we do, O Capital, is, you know, we say we invest in underserved founders, right? And when you say underserved, you know, they didn't go to Harvard, they don't have all those foreign education and all those finesse. So we look out for those people that they don't have any opportunity to even be seen in the spotlight, but they have fantastic ideas that can be scalable. If you have some fantastic ideas, come to us to finance such transactions and VC firms. And we have quite a number of portfolio companies that are doing quite well. So I think people don't have that understanding that, you know what, there are better investment opportunities than traditional fixed deposit or the traditional area where people invest. Venture capital is a huge deal. And to just close this out, one of the things that interests me about venture capital, which is a very small scale and a special type of venture capital, is that there's a lot of people probably know this kind of place. There was this young man that was buying the palm oil from Madu. The guy bring palm oil. His entire business was about 100,000 naira. He would make palm oil, put it in a vehicle, all those buses coming to Lagos, and the guy was making 40% on every trip. You'll be shocked. And you know, we were having a conversation. Oga, why have you not done this? And all I just did, easy money. All I just did was, but what actually attracted me to the guy was that he was very enterprising. I liked the sense of final spirit and all that. I gave the guy 250,000. Between me and you, it was a gamble money that I said, you know what, this money will not come back. Guess what? My 250,000, the guy gave 5 million in the space of how many months? On top, that's why I call it a cocoa. I know it's palm oil. That's what the guy was doing, and the guy is doing very well now. That is venture capital. So a lot of people are looking at that space now. Nigeria is getting to that point where it gets more interesting. And yes, you are right. People abroad. It's funny when, because like I said, I have a bias for local money. When you see an Igbo man at the airport, they don't like Nigeria more than you. It's because they are smelling something we don't smell. Exactly. So when you see some sectors, you see a Chinese man, you see Indian, you see. It's that same sector you don't see Nigerians. Because Nigerians are looking for miracle money. They are going to church. Wealth of the Gentiles is your portion. So they are looking for quick money. If it does not happen immediately, Nigerians are not interested. But guess what? You see a Lebanese, you see Chinese. While people are sleeping, Friday you go to club. But these guys, they'll still be on site, they are working. There is something they are seeing that we don't see. But again, that's another conversation for another day. God bless you in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Bank finance and venture capital finance. They are completely different. When I put my money in the bank, I expect to get it back. No sorry. Regulated, highly regulated sector. Venture capital,
a bank will never finance that sort of arrangement. But for you to get bank finance, you must have a structure. For VC, the VC can help you put structure in a structureless system. And that's part of what they do. And they're willing to take more risk. And the people that put their money into VC know that it may not come back. And that is why the returns are so high. The other thing is that the VC is forward-looking. He sees a business that doesn't have structure. He knows that if you put structure and money, it can come out in 3 years times 20. Alright, so he's willing to risk. So they are completely different dynamics. Don't mix them up. Thank you.
Well, I gave you an example with this in Arizona. I started working with 18 years ago. It's what we have to have. For example, in the export market, if you call anybody and you say, where are you calling from? Once you mention Nigeria, it's a problem will come out. And the reasons are very, very obvious. The reasons are very obvious. So people think it's only for one night. It's also our attitude to the past. When I was a banker, at the end of the year, we have heaps of letters of credit issued in favor of Nigerian companies that have expired or utilized. So this trusting is look. Like we talked about the Chinese, I was in Dubai for a 3-year conference. I was having coffee with an Indian. The Indian was saying, look, yeah, we know that there's opportunity in Africa, but there are too many problems, there is this problem, there's logistic infrastructure problem. So the Indian asked me, if they had all those things you are mentioning, what are you going to manage when you get there? Exactly the reason why they are here. With all the kidnap that's happening, if you see a chief executive of an Indian company, you will be walking the street like somebody who had no kidnap value. So we are so ostentatious, kind of. So the thing about trust is very, very simple. When I started my company, we run training programs and certifications. I told myself, I said, look, every business we get, let us do it as if it is the last business we will do in life. That you can't compromise quality as a result of cost. I don't care if we make a loss. As long as we create opportunity for another business of the future. That is it. Nigerians, some Nigerians in the export market, if he ships to somebody abroad, if you ask him, how about your transaction? You don't do this. Say, I don't sell the computing or something. He won't even call to find out. Is everything okay? Has it arrived? And preparing for the next. So it goes back to the individuals. Everybody blames leaders in this country, but I don't think it's. And of course, they fail in their own way, but we also are failing in our own way. We don't have trust. So it's something. If every company will have to, and thank God, I think that is coming up a whole lot, particularly from the younger generation. Create trust and deal, and then the international funding that we're looking for to show up. There's so much money that can be. Oga gave us an example of India. The resources that the people in diaspora have in the world is a whole lot. It's a whole lot. And so many of them are willing. It was a Nigerian doctor in the US that gave UI how much? $1 million. One person. Only one person. The alumni of university have the capacity to rebuild and the rest of them. But the fact is that when you are putting that, you are giving them that money, then you are wondering whether this money is safe or it's going to end in Indian pocket. Anyway.
To build trust, to rebuild trust or build trust. So let's deconstruct it. Who broke trust? When was trust broken? In which area? Look, every country or every brand, once you hear certain names, if you hear Apple, you know it connotes something. You hear Samsung, it connotes something. Techno. That word Nigeria, I don't think anybody has managed it actively. I can boast that if you give me that job for 2 years, you will not hear that. It's about negative projection. If you keep projecting without a coordinated media plan, you say, this is how we want to position Nigeria. Then you allow anything to be said about Nigeria. China, in terms of many practices that we're talking about, not denigrating the Asian, all developing countries have these dark practices, including the Western countries. The people that are jackpotting, what? They will jackpot at some point. Yes. You think it's easy to uproot? You will shovel your own snow in your driveway every day. No driver waiting for you, just jump into your car and run up and down, wherever you are. You understand? Your lifestyle, your food, you will go, then you come back, maybe we'll feed this country. Look, there are challenges. But we individually, I like what you said, we individually, I think we denigrate our country because we enjoy that. Their business is part of our culture. But we have forgotten that they are taking us seriously. We are living here. I'm not saying I don't wind up my car if I'm moving traffic. But look, you are at risk in New York on the road, Johannesburg on the road. But your own is to put it every day on the internet. Yes, we don't like our government, they are not performing. What about the private program? What about that thing? As the light gone off here? There's no electricity. There is electricity in Nigeria. It's just expensive. Buy diesel. Buy gen. You can get to anywhere, and I'm serious.
Yeah.
The missionaries came here 18 something, they got to Calabar. How did they get there? How they sold Nigeria for X £100? Who made the money here? Who told you there's no money in this country? Who says that Nigeria is such a bad place? All the flights coming here are full. Money is being made here every day. Money is taken out, is kept in some sophisticated bank somewhere. So what if you say crime has happened here? Somebody has an accomplice somewhere else. The word corruption is not a Yoruba word. You understand? The word evil is not Nigerian. You know, we have this impression that Nigeria is the only country until you get outside. Then you see that guess what? Yeah. There's been a president next door since I was in secondary school. He's the president. We have a democratic process. It may be bringing out the wrong people, but guess what? It is evolving. We must be patient. There is a process. I tell young engineers that you want to become an engineer and sit in the office. How on earth are you ever going to understand how to construct a road? Do you know what a road is? You go into the bush, there are snakes. So if you sit in your father's house and they send you to one of these fancy universities, you never went into the bush, you didn't do any rugged things, and you want to be an engineer, you can't work for us. You know what it takes to string fiber on a high tension wire in the middle of nowhere. It's done by engineers, but you want to sit at home, then we have to find Filipinos to go and do it. We must build our country. And that's what is building trust. You will build trust, you showcase the good things that are happening. And the ones that are bad, of course you deal with them. You have mentioned, why would you have two exchange? It's one country now. I mean, if I take this money, it means one. Why is Naira? We are not two different countries. Then divide it and say, okay, Naira is, we can't be in the same market. I have to, so there are aberrations. But you remember, these things are tied to political updates. So they will pass. Long term, a country that has 200 million people, they will eat. So if you sell water alone at 1 naira, 200 million naira per day, so somebody will come and put the water there. Whether it is ruled by the devil or ruled by an angel, they will drink water. So the fundamentals for Nigeria is fantastic. largest producer of this, largest that. It is good. Those good things, people don't strain them. Even if you are a great company and you don't have a proper media platform of positioning yourself, tiny, smaller companies will outperform you and be more attractive. What is happening in Nigeria is no one is taking ownership, neither the political class, the private sector, or the youth. Now it appears there's a reawakening. Like I mentioned, when we were seeing youth, there was a thinking about Pan-Africanism, and I want to say about Africa. It's not big. They have been trying to do it, and finally, somewhere through a frenzy, you have brought it together. Yes, the implementation will be bad, but that's what I'm talking about. If the government, if they really understand what AFTA is and how it is, what's there in taking an intercontinental highway from here to Ethiopia? How long will it take? Okay, let me take 30 years. After all, the Jacob Road are taking 30 years. Start it. Someone will finish it at some point. My point is that when you start something, somebody said, I want to go to the moon. He didn't go to the moon that day. So, when we say Nigeria is a great country, is it fact? It is fact. There are certain things here that you can't just get just because you are here. Fact. Is it mismanaged? Yes. Does that now mean that because of that we cannot be trusted? No. A few criminals, 5% of 200 million is a large number. So it looks like every Nigerian is a criminal. Why should I feel like a criminal when I'm not? I can bet that 95% of Nigerians are not criminals. Exactly. You know? So why are we allowing 5% brand the country? You know? Because and if you look at where this trust is broken, typically along government processes, you allow too much discretion. Half of it is also knowledge gap and go. That's why I said, for me, put technology into everything, make it transparent. The moment you don't have to pay somebody for license, look at vehicle registration. Anybody, you don't have to go there yourself. Send anyone there, they pay the money, they get an alert, they pay, it's done. Your tax, same thing. If they can change services, you know, service delivery from government, not just when it comes to income. If they can change that model, have that same model, service delivery to your point, I want medical, I want to buy a meter, and they can do the same thing. Then we are getting there. But are we going to get there by just the government? I told you how much is needed in the telecom industry. If you save all the money that we make from oil, get an angel to run the NNPC and making president and making whatever. Save all the money, don't touch it. Save all. Put it into that it will not move. We've seen our infrastructure plan for the country. You cannot generate that money internally. The money must come from somewhere. So you have to have a strategy to position this country for the pariah state, you know, to somewhere where people are coming. And that to me is a simple, consistent step. I think there are cool strategies, but we try doing it. But let's leave government. If he has no government, the farm has no government, every 5 months, the Prime Minister will go. There are countries that are different. Nigeria's DNA is different. Nigerian people are better than the Nigerian government. Exactly. 10 times better. Exactly. So don't use the Nigerian government as a yardstick to judge Nigerian people. The example of India is the same thing. Indians are more outside India. They are more successful. Indians in India are poor, hungry. They are facing the same problem. That's why they also go out. The Lebanon is not a country. Lebanon is just a place where they all come from. But Lebanese are doing well all over the world. For me, the Nigerian strategy should be exactly the same. This is a geography. But as a people, we are global citizens. Then position yourself like that. Let there be Nigerian American, Nigerian Chinese, because that's what it is. If you go somewhere, represent yourself well. If you rub off on the country, this country, the government fixing it anytime soon. Because you'll be like Lebanon and all the sub-Saharan African countries. One person will come and mark time and go. Nobody, no Nigerian president has scoring the pass mark from independence, say 40%, which is, I'm saying 40 is pass mark. No, the best you get is like close to 40. We've not had a Nigerian government that's an A class, 70% and above. You will know the issue of hunger has been here for hundreds of years. They grew up hungry. Most of these people who are in power, they grew up hungry, barefooted. They forget when they get there. So there's no hope coming from them. The hope is coming from us, and it's still technology. But nobody can muzzle you now. You can, with technology, connectivity, and all that. We are now, you can see that the voices are being raised. Otherwise, these things would have even not come to life. Having this type of summit is only possible in an environment that is somewhat receptive. There are countries where you can't even do this. So we are getting there. There was a time in this country where we couldn't also do this. So forget political evolution. Nigerians are making waves. Nigerian products are getting into places. There are Nigerians in every single important body in the world holding key positions. But they are not being sold by the current government because it's night and day. So Nigerians as people must continue to project positive, and whenever the government catches up, all well and good. That's my view.
We really appreciate all you have shared with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in the